The elevator doors slid open just as Katie Brooks adjusted the strap of her bag and stepped forward, her heel catching slightly on the marble floor as if the building itself wanted her to stumble. She steadied herself, lifted her chin, and walked into the executive floor with the calm confidence she practiced in the mirror that morning. This interview mattered. Rent, dignity, a future that didn't involve apologizing for dreaming too big, everything rested on the next 30 minutes. She followed the assistant down a corridor of glass and steel, her reflection multiplying along the walls. "You'll be meeting with the CEO directly," the assistant said, smiling politely. "Mr. Adrian Wolf likes to be hands-on." Katie nodded, heart jumping. CEO. She hadn't expected that. Still, she welcomed the challenge. She'd prepared for this. The assistant stopped in front of a tall door and knocked once before opening it. "She's here." Katie stepped inside. The man standing by the window turned around. For a fraction of a second, time collapsed. The tailored suit. The broad shoulders. The sharp jaw she remembered tracing with her thumb in the dark. The eyes, gray, intense, unmistakable, that had watched her from across a dimly lit bar 6 months ago before following her home. Her breath left her lungs in a silent rush. Adrian Wolf froze. Their eyes locked, recognition crashing between them like thunder. His expression shifted, from polite neutrality to shock, then to something dangerously controlled. Katie felt the room tilt. The memory hit her all at once. Laughter over cheap whiskey, the warmth of his hands, the way he'd whispered her name like it mattered even though they'd agreed it didn't. She hadn't known his last name then. Hadn't known anything about him beyond the night. Katie started, then stopped. Her voice wouldn't cooperate. Adrian recovered first. He straightened, his face settling into a professional mask so smooth it almost fooled her. Almost. "Ms. Brooks," he said evenly. "Please, have a seat." She sat because her legs no longer trusted her. Her pulse roared in her ears. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. He took his place across the table, fingers folding together. "Thank you for coming in today." She stared at him. "You're the CEO," she said, the words slipping out before she could stop them. "Yes," he replied calmly. "I am." "You didn't tell me," she said. Her voice shook now. "That night, you said you worked in finance." "I do," he said, meeting her gaze. "I just left out a detail." Her lips parted, anger and embarrassment tangling in her chest. A pretty big detail. The door behind her clicked softly as the assistant left, sealing them in. Adrian cleared his throat. "We're here to discuss your qualifications." Katie let out a breathless laugh. "Are you serious right now?" His jaw tightened. "I'm trying to be." She leaned forward, heat rising in her cheeks. "You think you can sit there and pretend you don't know me? Pretend we didn't." "Katie," he said quietly, using her first name like a warning. Hearing it from him again did something to her. "You don't get to sound calm," she shot back. "I walked in here thinking my biggest problem was my resume. And I walked in here not knowing it would be you," he said. For the first time, a crack appeared in his composure. "If I had, I would have reassigned the interview." That stung more than she expected. "So what, you'd rather not see me at all?" He hesitated. "I'd rather not put you in an unfair position." She scoffed. "Unfair? I earned this interview." "I know," he said quickly. "I've read your work. You're impressive." That only confused her more. "Then why does it feel like you're trying to erase me?" His eyes softened, and for a heartbeat, she saw the man from that night. "Because erasing you is easier than wanting you," he said, too honest, too fast. Silence stretched between them, heavy and charged. Katie swallowed. "This was supposed to be a clean slate," she said quietly. "I didn't even expect to see you again." "Neither did I," he said. "But here we are." He leaned back, inhaled slowly, then nodded once as if making a decision. "We can still do this properly. I will be professional. No favoritism. No personal history. If that's uncomfortable for you, we can end this now." Her chest tightened. Walking away would be simpler. Safer. But she'd worked too hard to let one night, no matter how unforgettable, take this from her. She lifted her chin. "Ask your questions." A faint smile flickered at the corner of his mouth, gone as quickly as it appeared. "All right," he said. "Tell me why you want this job." Katie took a breath and began, forcing her voice steady while her heart betrayed her. As she spoke, she felt his attention sharpen, his gaze focused not on her body but her words. And that, somehow, made everything more dangerous. Because beneath the professionalism, beneath the rules he was already building, something unspoken pulsed between them, unfinished, unresolved, and very much alive. Katie walked out of the interview feeling like she'd just run a marathon underwater. Her smile for the receptionist was polite, practiced, and completely hollow. The moment the elevator doors closed, she let her shoulders sag and pressed her forehead lightly against the cool metal wall. Of all the people in the city, of all the buildings, of all the possible timelines, Adrian Wolfe. She replayed the interview in her head, every question, every answer, every loaded pause where their eyes lingered just a second too long. He'd been fair, meticulous, even. No softballs. No special treatment. If anything, he'd been harder on her than the others in the waiting room. And still, 2 hours later, her phone buzzed. She didn't need to see the sender to know. Unknown number. This is Adrian Wolfe. HR has approved the next steps. You got the job. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Another message followed almost immediately. Before your first day, we need to set some boundaries. My office. Tomorrow. 8 a.m. She stared at the screen for a long moment before typing back. Understood. She didn't add anything else. She refused to. That night, sleep refused to come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, not the polished CEO version, but the man who'd laughed with her in a cramped kitchen at 2 in the morning, barefoot, shirtless, completely unguarded. She'd left before sunrise back then. No numbers exchanged. No promises made. She told herself that was strength. Now she wasn't so sure. The next morning, Katie arrived early. Too early. The office was quiet, the kind of quiet that hummed with power. Adrian's assistant led her in without a word and closed the door behind her. Adrian stood when she entered. Good morning, he said. Morning, she replied, folding her arms to keep them from trembling. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Please sit. She did. He didn't sit right away. Instead, he walked to the window, looking out over the city like it might give him answers. I want to be very clear, he began. What happened between us before, whatever it was, it cannot exist here. Katie's jaw tightened. I didn't plan on bringing it to the office. I need more than plans, he said, turning to face her. I need certainty. And what exactly does that look like to you? She asked. No private meetings unless necessary, he said. All communication documented. No personal conversations. If at any point you feel uncomfortable, or I do, we revisit your role. Her chest burned. So I'm on probation because we slept together? No, he said sharply. Then he softened. You're protected. That doesn't feel like protection, she said. It feels like punishment. Adrian exhaled slowly. You think this is easy for me? She laughed, a short, humorless sound. You're the CEO. You hold all the power. And that's exactly the problem, he said. His voice dropped. I don't want to be the reason anyone doubts your talent. The sincerity in his eyes caught her off guard. You really think people will? Yes, he said without hesitation. They always do. Silence settled between them, heavy but different now, less volatile, more raw. Fine, she said finally. Rules are rules. He nodded once. Good. Her first week was a test of endurance. The work was intense, demanding, and deeply satisfying. Katie threw herself into it, determined to prove, mostly to herself, that she belonged. She spoke up in meetings, offered solutions, challenged assumptions. Adrian watched. He rarely spoke to her directly. When he did, it was concise, professional. But his eyes followed her when she talked, sharp with interest. And when she impressed the room, his approval was subtle but unmistakable. Late Thursday evening, the office thinned out. Katie was still at her desk when she heard footsteps behind her. Ms. Brooks, Adrian said. She turned, heart jumping. Yes? Can you walk me through your projections? He asked, gesturing to her screen. She hesitated. Now. If you're free, he added. She was always free for this. They stood close, too close, as she explained, her voice steady, her hands betraying her with the slightest tremor. He leaned in to see better, his shoulder brushing hers. Electric. She paused. You're doing it again. He frowned. Doing what? Standing too close, she said softly. He stepped back immediately, as if burned. Sorry. She nodded, annoyed at herself for missing the warmth already. The next day, rumors started. Nothing explicit. Just looks. Whispered comments. A question asked twice about her assignment to a high-profile project. Katie felt it crawling under her skin. By the following week, she confronted him. This isn't working, she said quietly in his office, the door open, her stance rigid. People are talking. He looked up from his laptop, tension flickering across his face. About what? About me, she said. About us. There is no us, he said too quickly. She flinched. I know. That's the problem. He stood, frustration bleeding through his control. I'm doing everything I can to keep this clean. And I'm still paying the price, she snapped. Do you know what it's like to feel like every success is questioned? His shoulders slumped. I never wanted that for you. Then stop acting like I'm something dangerous you have to contain, she said, her voice breaking despite her efforts. I'm not a liability. He met her gaze, eyes dark with something fierce and restrained. You're not a liability, he said. You're a temptation. The word hung between them, heavy and honest. Katie's breath caught. Then maybe the problem isn't me, she said quietly. Maybe it's you pretending you don't want what you clearly do. For a moment, it looked like he might cross the distance between them. Instead, he turned away. Meeting's over, he said. She left his office shaking, unsure whether she'd just taken back her power or lost everything. The tension didn't break after that. It sharpened. Katie felt it every time she walked into a room and Adrian was already there, his presence commanding without effort. She felt it in the way conversations paused for half a second too long, in the way his eyes flicked to her before he caught himself. Whatever line he was trying to hold, it was fraying. She responded the only way she knew how, by becoming undeniable. She stayed late. Spoke with clarity and confidence. Delivered work that made people sit up straighter. If anyone doubted her place there, she gave them no room to voice it. Still, the whispers followed. One afternoon, a senior analyst cornered her near the coffee station. You must be doing something right, the woman said, smiling thinly. You've got the CEO's attention. Katie's grip tightened on her cup. I've got results, she replied evenly. The woman raised an eyebrow but said nothing. By the end of the week, the pressure became unbearable. Adrian called her into his office again, this time late, when the floor was nearly empty. The door stayed open, but the quiet felt intimate anyway. You requested a transfer, he said without preamble, holding a printed email. Katie nodded, her jaw set. I don't want my work questioned anymore. You think moving teams will fix that? He asked. I think distance might, she said. For both of us. His eyes searched her face. Is this what you want? No, she admitted. But wanting hasn't helped. Silence stretched between them, thick with everything unsaid. I can stop the rumors, he said finally. She laughed softly. You can't control people's minds. I can control mine, he said. I can step back. You already have, she said, her voice tight. And it still hurts. That landed. His breath hitched almost imperceptibly. Katie, he said, softer now. I never meant for you to feel disposable. I don't feel disposable, she replied. I feel erased. Something in his expression broke. He moved closer, stopped himself halfway. Every instinct I have tells me to protect you, he said. But every move I make seems to do the opposite. Then let me go, she said quietly. If you really care. The words tasted like ash. He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded once. I'll approve the transfer. Her chest ached. Thank you. She turned to leave, forcing her legs to move, her spine to stay straight. She reached the door before his voice stopped her. That night, he said. You didn't mean nothing to me. She didn't turn around. Then why does it feel like you're relieved to lose me? He had no answer. The transfer processed faster than she expected. By Monday, her desk was cleared, her access reassigned. People wished her luck with polite smiles and careful distance, as if she carried something contagious. Adrian didn't come to say goodbye. Katie told herself she didn't care. She told herself this was the right choice. But when she stepped into her new office across town, the silence felt wrong. Too quiet. Too empty. She tried to focus on the future, new team, new challenges, but her mind betrayed her. Every solution reminded her of how he'd once leaned in to read her screen. Every late night echoed with the memory of his voice saying her name. Across the city, Adrian stared at an office that felt suddenly hollow. Meetings blurred together. Numbers that once energized him now bored him. He caught himself reaching for his phone, stopping before he typed her name. He told himself this was necessary. Responsible. But responsibility had never felt so much like regret. One evening, long after the building emptied, he opened a folder on his laptop, Katie's early proposals, annotated in her handwriting. He remembered how she defended them, calm and unyielding. How she'd looked at him not as a CEO, but as a man. He closed the laptop and leaned back, exhaling sharply. What the hell are you doing? He muttered to the empty room. The answer came 2 days later, uninvited. Katie was in the lobby of his building, arguing quietly with security. I have an appointment, she insisted. Adrian heard her voice from the elevator and froze. He stepped out just as she turned. Their eyes met. "I didn't know you were here," he said. "I didn't know you'd be," she replied. "This isn't about work." Security glanced between them. Adrian nodded. "She's with me." They rode the elevator in silence. The tension was different now, raw, exposed. In his office, she didn't sit. "I didn't come back to ask for my job," she said. "I came because I needed clarity." He swallowed. "About what?" "About whether I imagined everything," she said. "About whether that night mattered to you at all." He looked at her like she'd struck him. "You never imagined it." "Then why did you let me walk away?" she asked. "Why was protecting me more important than being honest?" "Because honesty would have made me selfish," he said. "I wanted you. I still do. And wanting you while holding this position felt wrong." Her voice softened. "You don't get to decide what hurts me." He closed his eyes briefly. "I know." They stood inches apart now. No rules. No titles. "I'm not asking you to fix everything," she said. "I just need to know if you'd choose me, if the fear wasn't there." He met her gaze, unwavering. "I choose you." The words landed like a confession. Katie's breath trembled. "Then do something about it." For the first time since that interview, Adrian stepped forward without stopping. Adrian closed the distance between them slowly, as if giving her every chance to pull away. Katie didn't. She stood her ground, heart pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. When his hands came up, hesitant at first, warm and steady against her arms, her breath caught. "Katie," he murmured, like a question. She didn't answer with words. She reached for him, fingers curling into the fabric of his jacket, anchoring herself to the moment before fear could rush back in. That was all the permission he needed. He kissed her. It wasn't rushed or reckless. It was careful, reverent, as if he was afraid she might disappear if he moved too fast. His lips were warm, familiar in a way that made her chest ache. The world narrowed to the quiet hum of the office and the feel of him against her. She kissed him back with everything she'd been holding in, weeks of restraint, months of unanswered questions, the memory of a night she'd pretended didn't matter. Her hands slid up to his shoulders, gripping him like she'd fall apart if she didn't. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. "That's what I wanted to do the first time I saw you in that conference room," he admitted, his forehead resting against hers. "And every day after." Katie laughed softly, emotion thick in her throat. "You have a terrible way of showing it." "I know," he said. "I thought control was the same thing as care." She leaned back just enough to look at him. "It's not." "I see that now," he said. "And I won't make that mistake again." She searched his face for doubt, for hesitation. She found none. Just resolve, and something deeper. Something steady. "What does choosing me actually mean?" she asked quietly. "Because I'm not doing secrets. I'm not doing whispers in hallways or pretending I don't exist." He nodded. "It means transparency. HR disclosures. Reassignments if necessary. It means we don't hide." "And if people talk?" she asked. "They will," he said simply. "But they'll also see your work. And I'll make damn sure no one mistakes your talent for favoritism." Her chest loosened, tension she hadn't realized she was carrying finally easing. "You're serious?" "I've never been more serious about anything," he said. She kissed him again, this time without hesitation, without restraint. His arms came around her fully, pulling her close, grounding her. For the first time since she'd walked into that interview, the fear quieted. They didn't rush beyond that. They didn't need to. Just standing there, holding each other, felt like choosing something solid. Weeks passed, and the changes were deliberate and public. Katie accepted a role that placed her under a different executive branch, still influential, still challenging, but free from ambiguity. Adrian disclosed the relationship formally, endured the scrutiny with quiet confidence. People talked. Of course they did. But they also watched Katie thrive. She led projects that succeeded beyond projections. She earned respect the hard way, by being brilliant, unflinching, and visible. The whispers softened, then faded, replaced by acknowledgement she hadn't realized she'd been craving. And Adrian stood beside her, not above her, not shielding her, but supporting her openly. Their relationship unfolded in small, meaningful moments. Morning coffee before work. Late-night conversations about everything except business. Laughter that felt earned. One evening, months later, they walked out of the building together as the sun dipped low, the city glowing around them. No one looked twice. Or if they did, it didn't matter. Katie squeezed his hand. "Do you ever think about how close we came to never doing this?" "All the time," he admitted. "And it terrifies me." She smiled up at him. It also reminds me why we did. He stopped walking and turned to her. Thank you for coming back, he said quietly. Not just to the building. To me. She reached up, brushing her thumb along his jaw. You finally let me. He leaned down and kissed her again, right there on the sidewalk, unafraid of who might see. That night, the night she came for an interview, had changed her life in ways she never could have imagined. But this choice, this moment, felt different. This wasn't a fling. This was a beginning. If you felt anything while listening to this story, if it made your heart race, made you smile, or reminded you that real love still exists, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the like button to support the channel, subscribe so you never miss a new romance story, and turn on notifications to stay close to every heartbeat, every twist, every unforgettable love. And I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Your city, your country, your corner of the world. Your support helps this channel grow, and your comments inspire the next love.